Ric Grenell is joining us again on this show. And if you're just joining us throughout the broadcast today, I just want to make it clear, this is not a repeat episode. This is not Groundhog Day. It might feel that way. But what we now have is likely a third indictment coming down for President Trump. He got the target letter. He let everyone know this morning on Sunday evening. The target letter, which this one out of D.C., it's Special Counsel Jack Smith. This would be related to January 6th. We don't have more specifics than that right now. You can only kind of speculate. Well, is it about electors? Is it about the actual speech on January 6th? What about the fact that we already had this entire investigation by Congress that found no ties to President Trump in any illegal activity? It's just they don't like the way he talks. Ric Grenell is joining us now. Ric, I want to go to you first on this because I'm seeing it all over our chats, and we've got a lot of people watching right now on our social media outlets and all over the web. What people are still kind of nervous about this election cycle is not that President Trump won't likely get the Republican nomination even after all of this, but they are still concerned. I think we have to be very clear with them that they've got to get out and make sure they vote. They're still concerned that their vote's not going to count. There's a lot of people saying, I don't even know if I want to show up. It feels like the whole system is still just so rigged against us. And I wanted to remind them, President Trump wouldn't be running again if he thought he couldn't win.
First of all, I hear that complaint all of the time, and I got to say, it's extremely valid. People are pissed off. I'm pissed off. It seems like the Democrats are constantly trying to just push us into mail-in ballots and recklessness and not have a check and a balance on the signature verifications. All of that is true. But I have to push back and say, what's the alternative? We're not giving up. We're Americans. We're conservatives. We're going to fight. And so we've got to do a couple of things. One, not only just fight and talk about it, but we got to make some changes. And I think there have been changes from a variety of groups, not just the RNC, where I think a lot of people were a little bit concerned about the management of their fight at the RNC. So I think that's being fixed. But the outside groups are really going after this. You have Charlie Kirk and Turning Point talking about ballot harvesting where it's legal. I know of many people who are doing a initiative to increase conservatives' participation, let them know that they have to participate, which means registering them to vote in all of the swing states. But we absolutely need the Army doing two things. We need conservatives to volunteer locally to watch the polls. We've had in the past, Jordan, a difficult time when we would call for poll watchers. People didn't always want to show up. But now I think we need the mama bears there with their phones, watching and making sure that everything is okay. So that we need the poll watchers army. We need people to vote early, not wait for Election Day when we saw in Arizona they have paper problems, printer problems. Because I think that the Democrats are always going to try to create problems on Election Day because they heard our call to vote on Election Day. We've got to constantly be changing our strategy, but participation is key. Lastly, I'll say this. There are a whole bunch of legal organizations on the conservative side challenging this vote by mail. It will not be the same as it was when there were emergency measures in place during COVID. We have to combat that because sending a mail-in ballot to someone who doesn't know it's coming is completely reckless. We're for mail-in ballots if you request them. If you don't request them, then it shouldn't be mailed to you via the U.S. Post Office because someone is going to have a problem. I'll finish with this. The U.S. Post Office just 2 weeks ago warned us not to send physical checks or cash in the mail because it isn't safe. To which I would reply, if the U.S. Postal Service is telling us it's not safe to send checks and mails, checks and money, cash through the mail, then it's certainly not safe to send your ballot.
I mean, this is the thing. Listen, it's frustrating. I think I had 3 live ballots last election from different addresses that came to different addresses, and people forwarded me. They would come and they'd say, it had your name, and they'd figure out. I mean, literally, I would kept them with me, and I would show them on the broadcast. Here's 3 different live ballots for the presidential election, 3 different states. So it was 2 states and just D.C. But, Rick, you pointed out something I think was important for people to hear. The words that we kind of use as dirty words, like ballot harvesting, I remember we had a call ACLJ team with a U.S. Senator's office. I'm not going to name that senator, but they're working on a plan too with the RNC to say, you know what, we need to, where if it's legal in that state, we need to do it. So we don't need to be afraid of taking advantage of what is legal to win an election in a state. We shouldn't be afraid of utilizing the tools. If a state is trying, if in the past they did that because, Democrats like utilize those tools, well, it's legal for us to do it too. Let's stop being afraid of it. We need to actually embrace it and do everything we can that's legal to win the election.
Look, we vote by states in the United States. So if you're listening to this broadcast, you have to know what the rules and laws are in your state. Don't worry about other states. Worry about your state. Figure out, if you live in Arizona, if you live in California, if you live in Georgia, what are the rules? Are you allowed to ballot harvest? Are you allowed to go pick up all of the ballots for the people from your church? Get involved. Don't wait for someone else to do something. Organize at your church to pick up every single ballot and turn it in if it's legal. Find out what you can do in terms of ballot harvesting and go at it. Do it in your own community. You need to be unleashed. We don't need to have a union or some other group doing this for us. We can do it. So if you're hearing my voice, find out what is legal. And maybe what we could even do, Jordan, can we put on our website links to every state and the election laws so that people could go to ACLJ, click on their state. It's just something I'm thinking out loud here. Maybe it's not legal for us, but it's something that we should think about doing, providing information to people so that they can quickly find out the real story.
We could do it. In fact, a lot of the research we did for that senator's office, we could utilize and flip it back around because that's what we were doing, is going back and looking at, okay, what was done under COVID that was actually changed under law, what was just done kind of like outside of law, like emergency statuses, things like that, Logan, where it wasn't really something that you can effectively, what could you challenge? Did they actually change? Some states did change the law. Like Rick said, it's not going to be the same as it was. But yeah, I mean, I think we could definitely do things like that so people understand. And I think what Rick said is important too. Figure out your state, your jurisdiction, know what you can do, and take full advantage of that. Final questions, Rick. We got 30 seconds left here. People, I think they wonder, I already saw the broadcast. I think President Trump is a unique person who could weather this and still run a full campaign for president. Most people couldn't. So I don't think people need to worry about that aspect.
Correct. I don't think so either. But, one thing that I will say that is different between conservatives and liberals, you look at the small dollars, like $1, $10, $25 given to Joe Biden, and it was pretty enormous. Republicans, when they hear someone needs money, I think, or needs help, I should say, I think they tend to pray. I think they send good thoughts. They go on social media and they create a storm and talk about it. But we have been notoriously bad at sending $10. I think that we need to start flooding with small dollars. The candidates that you like, the candidates that you support. I support Donald Trump. But I think it's really important to start sending the small dollars. That all adds up. It's really important.
It's what the ACLJ is. That's what I mean. We are based off the small dollar donation and the grassroots donations and people out there. Rick, we appreciate all of your insight. And folks, you can support the work of the ACLJ with those small donations and double them up with our matching challenge at aclj.org.